Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. This
I'm
is Mickey
Robert,
Fay here,
and I'm Robert Dilts.
and we are the co-founders of MindsetMaps International and the MindsetMaps tool.
And we are really both very excited to actually do our official launch today of something we've been working on for the past almost 5 years.
Yeah, it's been on our mind all the time, if you know what I mean. And so it's so fantastic to share it with a community of people.
Yeah. So we plan to take about a half an hour to let you know what this tool is, what it's for, what the benefits are, where you can get access to it, and then have time for some questions.
Exactly. And as usual, we know that pictures speak 1,000 words. So we do have a few pictures and PowerPoint slides that we wanted to show you. So I think I'm going to just dive in and share my screen in 1 second.
So this is our official launch. I mean, we've actually had this up as a sort of a beta version for a while, but we now have our professional version that we're ready to share with you.
And we also have a fantastic coach faculty, which we will share about as we go through this presentation. So what is the Mindset Maps? And I'm going to let Robert give you the definition.
Well, so I mean, it's an online assessment and development tool. And the whole purpose of it is to help people really better understand our own mindset and some key components of that mindset, and then make adjustments in our mindset that are necessary in order to reach important, business goals. But we could also say this includes other life goals as well.
Absolutely. And I think the key words are, setting something. So I can set my mind in a certain kind of way. It's not always permanent in a certain kind of, I'm not born with a certain kind of mindset. I'm not born negative or positive. I have goals, and there are certain specific patterns of mindset that support the attainment of those goals.
And this image, I think, is showing something important, which is that, as you see, our mindset map here is not simply a bunch of just verbal words. We actually have chosen, and we'll explain some of this, some very specific icons and specific archetypes to represent these different aspects of mindset.
Absolutely. And you could ask right at the beginning here, why does mindset matter? And we really know that everything we do in life, starts with our mindset. So people who actually succeed, they start with what we call a success mindset.
Yeah, as opposed to, a sort of a fixed mindset or a stuck mindset. There's been a lot of research about the notion of a growth mindset, which was very powerful and an important inspiration from us. But this notion of a success mindset, we're basically saying that there's no outer success without the inner motivation and the know-how for how to put that motivation into action.
And by the way, there's no innovation without
That's true.
a success mindset. So, yes, we speak about the growth mindset, but how do you actually get there? If that's my goal, if I want to scale my business, or if I want to find more meaning in my work, how do I get there? So success mindset was really designed to help you to develop the attitude and the inner success factors that you will need in order to reach whichever goal you set.
And so one of the things you'll see is that this tool, it actually ends up being goal oriented, because again, we're saying that there is really a distinction between mindset and personality. Personality is something that, is presumably unchangeable. Mindset, however, is something that we can adjust, we can tweak, we can unlock and release. And so that's part of what this tool is designed to help you do.
Exactly. So, in understanding the structure of the mindset map, because the next question is, okay, but where do you know this from? Where is this coming from? What's the theory? What's the practice behind this? So we have actually applied the distinctions of what we call success factor modeling to analyze the key mindsets of some well-known entrepreneurs. Some of them are really well known, and others were part of our research were smaller companies. But the one common factor was they were all successful. However, they were successful in service of something greater than just profit.
Yeah, and I think a really key thing here is that both Mickey and I, we have been working with entrepreneurs and working with businesses for a major part of both of our careers. So we also do a lot of coaching of people. We do consulting for companies. So in addition to doing interviews and in addition to looking at information and descriptions from these people about their own process, we have direct experience of what it takes for people to succeed.
And as you know, we have seen people who had the great business plan, had access to money, a really good idea, yet they didn't succeed. Mm-hmm. And the question is always, is it all about those external factors? And what we say is that external factors are hugely important, but there are certain inner components, mental attitudes, and focuses that are instrumental to success. And what we have noticed in our work is that mindset actually has 3 different distinct levels. And the first one is the meta level, which is sort of the big picture clarity about where I'm going, what's my vision, what do I stand for.
And this one is one that we found particularly important, that if you don't have the big picture, you can waste a lot of time doing, working hard and doing a lot of things, but they don't make the difference. And again, the whole notion of success factor modeling is asking this question: what's the difference that makes the difference? And one of the things that we found is that people who lack this big picture clarity, again, they can do a lot of things, they can work hard, but sometimes they're not doing the right things. They're not doing the things that most need to be done, and they're not doing them in the right way. So that's our first and most important part of mindset.
And then the second level is what we call the macro level, because it's macro in the sense that these are habits of success. For example, scanning the horizon for opportunities all the time, or also staying grounded and resilient in face of adversity. So there are certain habits of success that no matter what your goal is, you will need. Otherwise, you will not last. It will not be sustainable. You won't get there.
And at the same time, there are certain of these habits that are going to be more relevant for certain goals. And that's one of the other things that we want to, that we emphasize in the tool, which is that, one of them is about, being able to get regular feedback from, customers and clients. Well, that is an absolutely essential habit, especially to achieve certain goals. All of these macro mindset habits are important, but one of the things we realize is that we need to really make sure that they're not just there, but they really are there in a strong and an ongoing way.
Exactly. So that takes us to sort of the third level here. And from here, we wanted to give you a taste about how do you actually work with a mindset inventory.
Well, we do want to say, I think we should go back and say a little bit about the micro mindset, because that's our ongoing priorities. And our ongoing priorities are not so much about our habits of success, but they're about where we are putting our focus in any particular moment. So in other words, what we mean by ongoing priorities is, what am I giving my attention to in a particular, period of time? So in addition to habits of success, I've also got to bring my focus to certain things. Like in some cases, we think about these like putting on certain kind of hats. Sometimes it's product development. Sometimes it's building partnerships. Sometimes it's building infrastructure. So this micro one is really about more specific key actions.
And so putting all of this together, we wanted to give you a sense of, how does it work? Like if you go to MindsetMaps.com, so it's simply www.mindsetmaps.com, then you're going to get to a page where you can take the Success Mindset Maps inventory, which we, by the way, as an acronym, we call it SMMI. Yeah. And as you take the inventory, there's going to be questions which relate to those 3 levels that we just described, the meta, macro, and micro levels.
And this is showing the kind of thing, so we're going to show you the sort of ways that you take this inventory, which, by the way, the total time is probably somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. And I just want to point out that 15 or 20 minutes is really a well worth the time, because you're going to get a tremendous amount of feedback. And this is showing that, you can have a low ranking or a high ranking. We usually, there'll be certain statements. There's 6 statements for meta mindset, and you just kind of rank them. And you can see here that we have these various icons. This is relating to our meta mindset aspect of passion. And we have an archetypal character. In this case, it's Richard Branson. We also have an archetypal journeyer or traveler. In this case, it's Ulysses, that are people that represent this notion of passion.
And then, as you go to the second part of the questionnaire, it's going to ask you questions about your macro mindset. And similarly to the way Robert described, you will have this subjective scale of 1 to 10, and you can rate yourself.
You see, by the way, here, one of the things we've done is that you see that there's a change in the brightness, the color, the level of contrast of the different icons as you go lower or higher. And that's just to, again, give you that sense of, well, where do I fit here? Is it strong, colorful, bright? Is it kind of more, dim, not colorful? One other thing that you'll find if you take this inventory is if you click on any of these icons, you get further information about that particular aspect of mindset that it's exploring.
Exactly. And then, this takes us to the third level, which is the micro mindset. And we are actually very excited about that level. Some people, make the mistake that they only care about the meta level, the big level, the big picture, and then they forget about the actions, the everyday, ongoing priorities that will actually matter a lot. And here we have a different way of answering questions. And this is very important, is that for every statement, you will have 3 options, and you can indicate whether this is something that, for example, let's say, educating and developing your team. Is this something that you enjoy? Is this something that you're good at? And is this something that you do spend time doing it?
And as you can see from the different examples here, maybe it's none of them. Maybe I don't like it, I'm not good at it, and I don't spend any time doing it. And in that case, it would really be sort of a waste of your time to even try it. In other cases, well, wow, I really like it, but I'm not particularly good at it, and I don't spend much time at it. Well, then we might say, well, yeah, okay, that's an interest for you, but it's not really a part of what we call your zone of excellence. So when you get here, you can choose 1, 2, 3, none of them. And this gives us really very interesting, feedback about where, our strengths are and where our areas for development are.
So when you take the inventory, pay attention that you will need to consider all 3. And it's not just one of them that you should indicate. You should consider all 3 for each statement. We have seen and had some feedback that people misunderstood this. So it's very important, because it's going to give you really interesting feedback if you fill this out. So then the next step
with you, right, too, about what that feedback is in just a moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming up. But before you kind of get those feedbacks, you still have to we still have to, the web app has to synthesize and produce your profile. However, what's very important here, as we said at the beginning, that this is contextual. So there are certain goals that may be on the forefront of your mind. And there are 5 such goals. And the first one is increasing personal satisfaction in what you're doing.
And this is really important, because so often we're doing something that we have no interest in. It becomes really, it's like a trap. And so part of what determines whether we get satisfaction out of something is the mindset that we bring to it.
Right. So it's not for nothing that we picked this one as our first one, because, only if I have satisfaction in what I'm doing, I am able probably and ready to make a genuine and meaningful contribution into the world through my venture.
And I think this is one of the things we found.
Yeah.
Every one of the successful entrepreneurs that we've studied, that we've worked with, that we've modeled, they all have tremendous passion and satisfaction for what they're doing. And they are also making a contribution. They're not just in it for the money.
Exactly. So it often starts with something that's a passion, and then it turns into a meaningful potential for contribution. And then, perhaps you need greater innovation and resilience, especially at times like these as we are going through. So that could be your major focus for a time.
Again, as we see in these past months, as we've gone through the whole COVID pandemic, that what's very interesting is that many of the companies and individuals that we modeled were pre-COVID, and yet many of these companies are the ones that have actually not only survived well during the pandemic, but many have actually thrived during this, precisely because, as Mickey was pointing out, they're resilient, but they're resilient because of their capacity for innovation.
Exactly. And then from, the next goal that we have is establishing financial robustness and stability, and especially if you're a startup or, a business that started with mission and passion, it's a big question. There's got to be a time when you begin to make some profit, because as we know, profit is the bloodline of a business. If you don't have it, you don't have a company.
We kind of put this, you can sort of see there's a really important balance between my satisfaction in what I'm doing and also my ability to be profitable and, financially robust and stable. And again, as we can see in times like we are experiencing right now, that can become a really important goal to get through. So again, and what big part of what we're saying here, and we'll be showing in just a second, is that achieving these things requires the appropriate mindset. It requires this, this mental attitude and focus.
Absolutely. And then that takes us to the fifth goal, which is the scalability goal. And that's the idea that, I need to create something that's repeatable and perhaps can be grown so that it becomes a stable business and it can last. And so you can sense that balance that Robert was talking about. And obviously, all of these are very important. However, you also probably have to decide that in any given moment, right now, what is the most important thing for me for a period of time, so that I can actually get to the next level. Because if I don't have a focus, I'm trying to do everything all at the same time, guess what? You run out of steam.
We only have a limited amount of bandwidth for anything that we're doing during a day. And so that's one of the big questions is, what am I going to bring that attention and that energy to? And this is really what the mindset map is about. So once we collect this information, we know what your current focus is. We're ready to do this comparison of what is your current mindset to the ideal mindset for achieving that goal that you've chosen.
And really the idea was here to be able to see it on one page and, see the highlighted areas. For example, here, for Robert, he needs to focus more on his team, which is absolutely not true. But, that's the way it works. So you fill this out, you choose the goal, and then in relationship to this goal, we will highlight the areas where you might consider shifting.
And what you can see on this map is it's showing you sort of in the things that are in the red circle are showing, okay, these are sort of the areas that, given this goal that I have, would be the most important ones for me to really improve or strengthen my mindset.
And again, the ideal mindset will come from the research and the work we've done with very successful purpose-oriented and conscious leaders. So that's really, one part, this gap analysis. Another very, very important piece, which we are very proud of, is that we are going to give you, the top 3 characteristics for each of your mindset levels. So meta, macro, and micro.
And then we are giving you, okay, what are the recommendations for improvement if you really want to be able to, increase your performance on achieving that goal. And then we even recommend certain tools.
Right. So that's what you see. This is basically a screenshot of what you get. So at this point, before we move to the next part of our launch presentation here, we just wanted to take a pause and to say, okay, so success mindset map inventory. So now you have a basic idea of what this is, how do you take it, what does it give you, but who is this for? And, we see at least these 5 groups of people that we're intending this for. So, the first 2 are entrepreneurs and business leaders. So somebody, I may lead a startup, or I may have a successful company and wondering about the next level, or I may be at the end of my career and I'm thinking about the next mountain, or, I'm a leader of a division and I want to grow and I'm looking for ways of growing or surviving.
And we also designed this because we know that many people are going to be coaches or consultants who are also supporting others for this. So it's a tool that actually can be used by a coach or a consultant with their clients to help them understand better what their client's mindset is, what their client's goals are, and what kind of things that they can do to help, to help them improve their mindset and improve their performance.
We also see, HR professionals, leaders, managers, HR partners, business partners using this in a very, very effective way. Because imagine, personality profiles, they're kind of putting people in a box and you never know, that's about personality, but how does that relate to the role? 360-degree surveys are amazing, but again, people are pretty bad judges of other people, unfortunately. So this is a different angle, and it's really looking at mindset and goals of that particular individual, and you can figure out how do you want to help the person. And that's what kind of the next slide shows here, that there are plenty of applications that are really possible here, but one may be individual coaching and supporting a contributor, someone to get to the next level.
But you can also use it for team coaching, and in fact, we are currently working on a team version where you could actually have multiple people taking the same inventory, and it will all be sort of put together with a particular report that can tell you. But even in its current version, you can have different people from a team take it and really look at what is is this team really aligned around their goals and aligned around their mindset.
And then also, as we mentioned before, talent development, how do I help somebody to reach their next level? How do I help somebody who has been identified as a high potential person in my organization?
And clearly, I think this is something that can help a lot with change management work, where we know that change is changes around goals. What goals are we trying to accomplish in the transition that we're going through and in the change that we're making?
And what mindset is going to support the change, and how do we help people to move to a more growth mindset, which then also leads us to OD consulting, so organizational development consulting in general, where we have now something which can help a consultant to map out the soft side of things and really look at some of the inner success factors in addition to the external success factors.
Now, all of the things that we've been presenting so far are something that's just accessible for free. It's what we want to really bring out and really offer to the world. And we also know that sometimes people want to get a bit more specific and get more information, and that this will actually really interest you in going more deeply. So we also, in our latest version, we have another feature that we're very proud of, which is our Success Mindset Maps premium report.
So the premium report is really a comprehensive report that you can get and it's going to give you an in-depth analysis of where you are and what's your current mindset. And it will also going to give you access up to those 49 mindset tools that we curated and selected for each of the configurations of the results. So whenever, as you have seen, we give you sort of a diagnostic glimpse of where your mindset is, we also suggest tools to shift. And so those tools will be accessible to those who have the premium report.
Big part of this premium report, which will also be, going into it in a little bit more depth in just a moment, is really understanding where your potential zone of genius is. And what we'll see, we have these different zones of competence. There's our incompetence, there's our competence, there's our excellence, but where really what we would call your sweet spot is in your zone of genius. And this is really the place where you can unlock your full potential.
So before I show what Robert was just saying, essentially, that's the idea, that this is a report that you can get for your personal growth. You can study it, think through it, reflect on it. And it's a conversation starter. It's something that would be ideal for working with a MindsetMaps coach. And we now have a global faculty of MindsetMap coaches. And, I will speak about that a little more. But, they are there and they're available to support you on your journey.
So in this premium report, we give sort of more in-depth information about some of these characteristics of your mindset. You can see that there's a kind of a focus here on the left. It's showing which ones are the strongest, which ones are the weakest, and it shows them in terms of these icons and the level of color and brightness. But we also show them another way, where you can see in the radar chart on the right, you can see sort of the relationship between, wow, and this one is showing, for example, that in this particular mindset, scanning for opportunities is very high, but getting frequent and honest feedback is very low. And that's going to create certain kinds of challenges. Now, that may be appropriate for certain stages of business, but what we see right away in a very visual way, right up front, is, wow, where are some of the strengths? Where are the places that could be, a particular problem or challenge?
And, another way of showing results are, the bar charts, where you can, again, see in decreasing order, I'm really good at scanning for opportunities. I'm very determined. So this means I'm hugely ambitious. At the same time, I'm not so grounded and resourceful. And especially, I don't look for honest feedback. I don't have massive systems of feedback in my life. So that means, it's easy to go on an ego trip here, right? So these are interesting ways of mapping your mind and immediately seeing what to touch and where to touch.
Immediately and graphically saying, okay, here's the strength, here's the place for improvement.
Right.
And we put all of this together for our next part, which is really looking at these zones of competence. And you'll see here, we rate these all the way from something that's a waste of time to something that's your genius, so waste of time, incompetence, something that's an interest, something that's a hobby, something that's an actual competence, an excellence, and a genius. And this is one of the most powerful parts of this report, so that you really get a sense, wow, what is my superpower? What is my area of excellence?
And how do I get to my genius, right? And there are so many ways of using this. One might be that you have multiple partners in the business and you all have the same interests and the same competencies. That could be tricky because you're missing certain things. It could
We also see, by the way, that there are two other things that are very important, which is an untapped competence and an untapped excellence. That's often very critical. This means I have a competence and maybe I even have an excellence that I'm not yet using. And what do I need to do in order to really put that into action?
And that's where you can tell that, this report is going to give you a really good start, an amazingly pinpointed view of, what would be worth working on. And then, you can get help to actually make that change and make that shift, which I think is really the way, it's a journey. It's not just, let me read my premium report and now I know. It's what do you do next?
Now, the premium report does give you access, direct access to the series, as we said, of these 49 tools.
Sorry.
But it also, as we say, this is where we want to take our next step. Sometimes what you realize is I really want to get some support here. And this is where what our premium membership offers.
So the premium membership is really intended for people, like, let's say, I got a startup that I'm running, and I know that I will need to raise money, or I will need to scale, or I will need to start new sales activities. And, I take the Mindset Map report and I see where I should adjust my mindset, but I would be interested in kind of going through this journey and seeing my progress. And so for the next 6 months, it would be a really good idea for me to retake the inventory a few times and see if I'm actually making the progress that I want to make. So that's when the premium membership comes into light, because it will give you access to free reports. It will give you access to our webinars, which describe the 5 distinct goals that we talked about and what's the mindset for each of them.
And yes, you see here, you're going to get for a 6-month period, you're going to get up to 6 free premium reports. You get access to our online webinars. They're not live, but they're online webinars that sort of go over how each of these 5 goals and what kind of mindsets are important for them. Plus, you're going to get a free 20 minutes discovery coaching session with one of our professional Mindset Maps coaches.
So the value of this package is over $400, and you can get it for $95. In fact, what we wanted to announce and say is that we do have a special early bird price going for December, so until the end of this year, where you can get this premium membership now, not even for $95, but for $85. And then you can also get the premium report instead of $35 for $25.
And so, I think, this is something that we really want to, offer to you. It's something, again, as part of our launch that we think is really important. And we know that this is really a worthwhile value.
Yeah, we really packed everything into it and gave it a very low price, because I think we believe that, it's got to get out there, and you got to get the benefits and enjoy it. So it's out there. Just try it. And, there's, this kind of takes us to the sort of summary part. And there's one more little announcement that we want to make here. But as we said, it is a new tool to unlock your mindset. So it's an online tool, and it is for entrepreneurs, leaders, coaches, and consultants. And it has a number of benefits.
One is, clearly, our primary purpose is to empower people to unlock and reset their mindset and their mind. So, and really suggest practical tools and habits that support to achieve goals. I mean, that is the main purpose of this.
And the second benefit is that often when people are lost, and especially, again, at times like these, people have no sense of agency. The pandemic is out there, the economy is out there, the election is out there, and I don't know what to do. So this is something that takes back your sense of agency and refocuses you on the inner success factors that really make the difference.
And as we were pointing out earlier, the goal of it is not to try to put you in a box. In fact, it's to try to help you get outside of a box, to get, beyond a particular box that you may be in. And this comes through, obviously, your own self-assessment in relationship to specific goals and a specific focus.
And again, we are also proud of the fact that it's based on research, a proven methodology of success factor modeling, our own work of, having worked with thousands of entrepreneurs around the globe, and some solid research. So that's
now the last bit that we wanted to just announce, and then we're going to we want to have some time for questions from you, is that we already have, we've over the past several months been developing a really wonderful Mindset Maps coach faculty. I hope some of you are listening out there, because we're very proud of you, and we just want to point that out, that these are people that have gone through a whole, several months of training in how to really support people to use the mindset map and get the most out of it.
And hopefully you will be seeing them more and more. They have, some of them have already started preparing some video messages for the community, because it is a community that does regular best practice sharing, ongoing education, stick together around a proven global brand that we are building together as a team. And there are business referrals going to the people increasingly as we grow. If you want to meet the team, just go to MindsetMapsInternational.com/coach-faculty. You will be able to rewatch this video, but that's where you can meet the team. And one final piece of good news is that we have the 2021 coach certification coming right up in January. And as we said, it's for everybody who is a coach or a consultant or an entrepreneur or a leader or an HR professional. And it gives you tremendous amounts of benefits.
You're getting a new and unique tool. You're getting a new and a unique differentiator. You're part of a global community. There's an ongoing, learning, and there's inspiration, and then, access to, what we call a back-end system of this, where you can actually, from your clients, when your clients take this, you're able to get valuable information from the inventory about them.
And the process is a 5-module process. The first one is about the key mindsets for the key 5 goals, which is something that you can watch anytime. The second is about the coaching process, which we have a proprietary 6-step process, and that will start on January 7th and 8th. And each time, it's 2 hours on those days. And some video watching before as pre-work.
And then we have, big part of it is, how does this fit in with the success factor modeling theories? And, there's been 3 books on success factor modeling, actually 4 now, because Mickey is one of the co-authors with me of the book Generative Consulting, that shows how we use these SFM models in consulting. And we're going to be doing that on January 19th and 20th.
And then, we'll look at the 49 tools that are mentioned and that are part of this system, and how do you apply them as you coach people. And that's going to take place February 4th and 5th. And
finally, there's our coaching or supervision, rather, and certification module in February, where 17th and 18th, where you're really getting, the opportunity to practice and get feedback from us and from others who have been using this tool for a long time.
And again, our process here, as you can see, obviously profit is the bloodline of a business. So we are offering a lot to the community that's available free. And we have services like the premium services and like this coach training that has a price tag to it. But we are really kind of placing it at a level where we think it's very affordable. And we are reinvesting everything into our mission, which is to make this mindset shift enabled globally in lots of countries, lots of communities, and essentially, contributing to changing how business is done globally. Because as you look around, you can see that we need it.
And as this says here, also, of course, if there's reasons, we would definitely will have discounts if someone is really passionate about wanting to be involved and just can't afford it.
And we also have some discounts for people who have already participated in SFM training or the 5 webinars. So if you're interested in becoming a coach with us, and you could be a business leader who wants to coach their people, join us and register, and you can find the registration under MindsetMapsInternational.com/events, and we'll be posting that pretty soon more.
And I do want to also just mention that we are going to be, this is something that is definitely in the process of continuing to grow. Mickey and I are both committed innovators. We have a B2B version that's coming out in some months that will also have the whole leadership mindset area. And as we said, we're also developing a team version of this. So there's a lot to come.
Absolutely. It's going to be, I think, a journey that's going to take us quite a few years. And we are very excited to have you and have our coach faculty. And we are very committed as well. And in the meantime, I'm just checking.
We're going to look for some questions here. I see there's actually one question. First question. Well, actually, one is a kind of a comment, and that might be interesting. Somebody says, I took the inventory and I loved it. It could be helpful to provide a clarification of the rating used at the micro level. Do they indicate an increase of intensity or an inclusive or exclusive? So this actually, it's a great question. And this is one of the reasons why we developed the premium report. And that, again, as you'll see, that was that whole focus on what is your zone of competence, your zone of excellence, and untapped excellence, and untapped competence or a genius. And that's one of the things we do very much with that. So indeed, that is one of the reasons we developed that premium report.
Yeah. And then I see another question here, which was, under what conditions may I include the assessment as part of my work with my coaching and consulting clients?
Well, this is a great one, and this is part of what our own coaches are doing. That I think it's a tool that can be really used, and first of all, it can be used in conjunction with other things. But as you think about the types of things we were mentioning that you can use it for, change management, organizational development, talent development. There are so many conditions under which you can use it, and again, that's part of what we also go over in our mindset coach training.
And I guess maybe the question is also related to what are the legal requirements or certification requirements. And basically the idea is, as we said, we are getting this tool out there so people can take this, and we welcome people taking it, and we welcome people having chats with their customers about it.
The free part is free. Please use it. That's right.
Absolutely. And, if you want to call yourself a professional Mindset Maps coach, if you want to be featured on our website, if you want to be, as sort of a title, an official coach, and using this tool officially, then you want to become a certified coach with us, which is exactly what we are announcing for 2021, starting January 7th and 8th. So that's a real opportunity for that.
So we have there's a couple of more minutes if anyone has any questions, any other questions, but we're going to start wrapping up, and we want to first of all really thank everybody who's attended here live for your taking the time. It's as you can tell, this is something that we are passionate about. One thing I can say is that all of the different characteristics and the different ways of using the mindset that we mention on the inventory are something that we use ourselves. We're developing our own business according to what we've learned about ourselves and what we know that needs to be done. So this is something that's it's not just a theory. It's something that has a very practical and pragmatic use and a background.
Exactly. I mean, that's why the whole idea of the web app came, is that we talk about it and we all think that we are experts at it. We've all seen it, but how do I tangibly measure it quickly? How do I start the conversation about it? How do I know where to tap? Because it's not tapping with the hammer. That's the big thing. Everybody knows how to tap with a hammer, but which part, like which needle, which side of the engine do I tap? Where do I start? And that's what this helps you with.
I can share from you myself too, is that there are times when if I'm kind of stuck with something or going around in circles, I go to that mindset map, because it really gives me this, it mirrors back to me and it shows me, oh yeah, of course, why didn't I think of that? And I mean, so it's a really useful thing to use multiple times. And we hope that it's something that really, our fundamental purpose here is to really, bring a positive change in the world. This idea of creating a world in which people want to belong and in which they can thrive. And hopefully this is a tool to do that. One
of the things, by the way, I personally maybe the right word is to say struggled with for a long time, was that this idea that my competences may be able to step in the way of me becoming my genius version. So in other words, I may be doing things which I'm good at, and I'm comfortable doing it, and I even like doing it, and I even spend time doing it, but yet it somehow is more about staying in my comfort zone rather than actually achieving my full potential. And I think one of the interesting things that we are very proud of in this premium report and in this whole application is that it will point you, and I'm not going to tell you what the secret is unless Robert decides to, but there is a difference between actually liking something that you're good at and even spending time doing it, and yet it's not your genius.
I think this is a good point that Nikki makes, that our excellence can stand in the way of our genius. And partially that's because we are so good at it, and it does get us certain outcomes so easily. But if we want to move to another level, we've also got to move ourselves to another level. And that means sometimes also not so much that you're giving up on your excellence, but as Mickey was saying, we need to connect that excellence to something even more, something bigger. So this is something that I'm sure that we'll be doing more live presentations about this. We hope that you do take the chance to at least try the inventory. And if you feel so, look at that premium report. I think it'll give you a lot of really interesting information.
And it was a pleasure to see you virtually. And I hope it gets, to a lot of people. Feel free to recommend the video, because literally we kind of feel like missionaries with this thing here, right? It's like, we gotta change. We do business. There's a better way. There is a conscious way, and we really want to help people, in simple, tangible, pragmatic, and practical ways to do it. And so, we would love to have you as our coach. We would love to have you as our partner. We would love to have you as somebody who just takes the inventory as a leader, or as an entrepreneur. And stay resilient.
Stay resilient, stay safe, stay resilient, stay innovative, stay passionate.
That's right. Thank you for being here. Have a lovely day.
Yeah. Bye for now, everyone.